So it wasn't long ago that UFOs, and even now USOs as they're being called, because apparently they've been underwater this entire time, were considered a conspiracy theory. It got me thinking, we haven't looked at conspiracy theories ever on this channel. So today we are watching the 10 conspiracy theories about famous historical events. And this video comes from Most Amazing Top 10. Shout out to them as well, because what a video. As always, if you like the video, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Did JFK
Most Amazing Top 10
of a secret CIA sleeper agent?
Yes.
Princess Diana really die in nothing more than a freak accident? Let's talk about it.
So, did the CIA order and orchestrate a hit on former President John F. Kennedy? Well, maybe. On November 22nd of 1963, a man named Lee Harvey Oswald was arrested for the assassination of the 35th President of the United States.
It's basically come out now. Like, they've said it without saying it. And I'm not going to say it either, just in case.
John F. Kennedy in Dallas, Texas. 2 days later, Oswald himself was killed by a nightclub owner named...
One thing I will say, if you guys have any thoughts on any of the clips that are in this, comment them below so I can hear your thoughts.
Jack Ruby. In the 1960s, 50% of the American population believed that Oswald had not acted alone. In 2017, that percentage rose to 61, and today, more than 2/3 of Americans believe there is more to the story than the government is letting on, and a large number...
23rd of November, or 22nd of November, 1963?
Of those people believe that the CIA had something to do with it. Why? Well, because just 1 month prior to President Kennedy's death, he had made the decision to withdraw the first contingent of U.S. military forces from Vietnam. This decision sparked controversy and outrage from hardline military advocates, and it also came just 2 years after President Kennedy's failed Bay of Pigs invasion. It is believed that in relation to these two things, and to keep Kennedy from pulling any other troops out of overseas wars, the CIA actually hired Lee Harvey Oswald to kill Kennedy, and then Jack Ruby to kill Harvey in order to keep the secret as, well, a secret. Interestingly enough, there are a number of classified files pertaining to Kennedy's
I love how they do that.
kept at the White House.
Don't like it, kill them. And then the person who killed them are going to get killed.
Goes into the White House swearing to declassify these files, but they walk away acting as though they don't exist. Coincidence or cover-up? You tell me.
On August 31st of 1997 in Paris, Princess Diana, Dottie Fayed, and her driver Henry Paul and bodyguard Trevor Reese Jones suffered a fatal car accident. The bodyguard was the only survivor. Princess Diana and Dottie Al Fayed were in a romantic relationship. They'd been vacationing together in the French Riviera when they were relentlessly followed by swarms of paparazzi. As they left the Ritz Hotel in Paris, their car was chased by photographers on motorcycles. The car lost control, crashing into a concrete pillar. Now, there are a number of conspiracies surrounding Princess Diana's death, but the dark...
I don't think anyone believes that it was an accident. I don't think anyone believes that.
It has to be that the royal family themselves were behind the accident. Princess Diana had recently divorced Prince Charles, and leading up to her death, she was apparently concerned that something was going to happen to her. In October of 1996, Diana wrote a letter to her butler, and in part of the letter, she talked about how she felt in danger, that she believed someone was planning to tamper with her car. So, was the royal family so disapproving of Diana's new potential marriage that they organized this incident and then covered it up to look like an accident? Let us know your thoughts down below.
All right, let's talk about America's favorite conspiracy theory, the theory that the moon landing was...
Oh, this is such a touchy one, isn't it? It's such a touchy one. Do you know what? I will give my opinion on it after you guys. Let me know what your thoughts on, did you land on the moon? Did the US land on the moon in 1969? You tell me.
was fake. Did you know that 5% of Americans strongly believe the moon landing was fake? And honestly, I don't blame them. First of all of the supposed footage from the first moon landing was somehow miraculously erased. Sure. And then it was equally as miraculously recovered. However, it is clear that the footage has been altered, but that's okay because the government had to alter the footage in order to recover it. I call BS. Also, while Neil Armstrong was supposedly filming Buzz Aldrin on the moon, he can be seen in Aldrin's glasses holding nothing. No camera, no kind of recording device whatsoever. And then of course there is the fact that multiple astronauts, including Gus Grissom, have straight up said that the moon landing was fake. I guess the real question isn't was it fake, it's why was it faked? And for that, I have an answer. The geopolitical space race. Simply put,
yes.
America was in a pissing contest with Russia during the 1960s.
I like this channel,
the
man.
Government believed that the lunar achievement would lead to an increase in foreign investments. A few pretty good reasons to fake the moon landing, if you ask me.
One of the most famous and controversial historical conspiracies is that the US government had advanced knowledge that there was going to be an attack on Pearl Harbor. This information was just withheld in order to anger the American public and get them on board with America getting involved in the war. On the morning of December 7th of 1941, Japan launched a surprise attack on the US naval base at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii, leading the United States to enter World War II. But some people think that President Roosevelt knew about the attack in advance and let it happen on purpose. He wanted the US to join the war against the Axis powers, but he faced a lot of opposition at the time. A lot of the American public wanted to stay out of the conflict. So what would ignite people's anger, unite them, and drive them into supporting the fight? An attack on American soil. And the attack did rally the American public, leading to a declaration of war against Japan and shortly after Germany and Italy. But what are your thoughts on this one? Did the president really sacrifice the lives of over 2,300 people as justification for American involvement in the war?
Here's a fun one.
Bro, the problem is that there isn't... I hate talking about politics and stuff because it infuriates me. But there is no such thing. I don't have to be any clearer. There is no such thing as a good, genuine, legitimate government. And that's all I'm going to say.
There's a secret government base filled with treasure hidden behind Mount Rushmore. While this might sound like the plot of the movie National Treasure, it is important to note that the theory
great movie,
has
by the way.
been around for far.
Right, that movie gets way too much hate, and so does Nicolas Cage. Oh my god, that's a good movie.
Longer than the film.
Well,
the idea
movies.
of a secret base came to be after a secret base was built inside of the monument, directly behind Abraham Lincoln's head. Okay, not a secret base, but a small room. The door to the room was 18 feet high, and the room itself was 74 feet long, with 35-foot tall ceilings. It was built by the original artist behind Mount Rushmore, Gutzon Borglum, who had hoped that one day the room would store important American documents. Unfortunately, Borglum died just 1 year after the project started, and so the room was abandoned. Or so they say. Many people believe that Borglum's dreams were in fact fulfilled, and
Mate,
furthermore...
I can't believe that. The Mount Rushmore thing is phenomenal. Like, unbelievable. The stonework, I can't even get into it. Amazing.
Expanded upon, and that the monument now houses an entire secret government base that is home to some of the country's most diabolical secrets.
Team America,
There's
innit?
a pretty wild
Team America live there.
theory about Queen Elizabeth I, that she was actually a man in disguise. The story goes that when Elizabeth was a young girl,
What?
she was
This is
sent
the
away
first
to
time
a
I've ever
small
heard this.
village called Bisley to avoid the plague, but she ended up catching it anyway and died. The servants then freaked out because if her father, King Henry VIII, found out, they'd be in big
Beheaded.
trouble. So
See
according
ya.
to the theory, they found a young boy who looked like her and dressed him up as Elizabeth to take her place. The ruse worked. King Henry somehow didn't.
But but he gets to a certain age, and then his voice, instead of being all the way up here, is significantly deeper. And maybe facial hair and lack of woman stuff.
notice, and this fake Elizabeth grows up and becomes queen. Small piece of evidence here is that she never married or had children, and people described her at the time having sort of masculine features. I think most people today find this one pretty ridiculous. The idea
a beard and a bulge would have given it away.
That a father would not recognize the fact that his daughter was swapped, especially with a young boy. I mean, that's kind of laughable. But even if we are to entertain the whole attempting a ruse like this in the first place, you'd think they'd make their lives easier and just find a girl that looked like Elizabeth.
All right, I have most definitely mentioned
that would have made
Tesla's death
way more
rate
sense
on this channel before, and that is because it is both fascinating and terrifying. In 1943, Tesla had brought the idea of a death ray, a massive particle beam that could incinerate entire armies within minutes, even at extremely far distances, to many of the world governments, including the government of the United States and the Soviets over in Russia.
I'm pretty sure this
According to
exists
both
now, does it
America
not?
and Russia, the thing was never actually built, but when Tesla died, American forces collected all of the research that Tesla had left and
Pretty sure it went to Trump's uncle as well, who was a scientist. Pretty sure.
his 2 New York hotel rooms, as well as his American storage units. America claimed to have found no sufficient information about the death ray, but of course, America lies. Many people actually believe that Tesla either completed the ray while he was still alive, meaning it's currently in the hands of either Russia or America, or that Americans use his research to create it themselves.
It's
Either
terrifying,
way,
mate.
I'm terrified. I hope the world doesn't go boom.
Marilyn Monroe died in
Jesus.
1962 at the age of 36. Officially, it was ruled that she'd taken her own life, having overdosed on sleeping pills either on purpose or by mistake. But some people
Was she not sleeping with JFK though? Was this not common knowledge? I'm pretty sure there's tunnels under the White House that she used to come through, and then they used to
believe there's more to it
Fondle.
than that. One theory is that Monroe was killed because she knew too much about powerful people. Specifically, that she was rumored to have been in an affair with President Kennedy, and when she threatened to expose it all, she was disposed of. Essayist Frank A. Capel first made these allegations in 1964 in his self-published work, The Strange Death of Marilyn Monroe.
Jesus
He
Christ,
also
that's why
accused
you,
President Kennedy of having communist ties, along with other people who were close to Marilyn Monroe. Now, Capel wasn't the only one
That's why you don't get in bed with a president or even anyone powerful.
who thought this. Over the years, tons of writers started putting their own conspiracy theories
'Cause you
forward
will
surrounding her death, a
be
lot of them
unalived.
involving President Kennedy. Some think the FBI or CIA were actually the ones who carried out the act. Some think the mob was responsible. And people
Because she was killed the year before JFK was then killed. Corinky Dink? I think not.
still question the circumstances of her death to this day.
Paul McCartney died in the 1960s and was replaced with a lookalike who has been touring with the Beatles ever since. This conspiracy theory began in November of 1966, which is when many fans believe Paul had his head ripped from his shoulders in a car accident after getting into an argument with his bandmates and leaving the studio. The conspiracy theory goes on to explain that, fearing for the band's future, the group devised a plan to replace Paul with a lookalike and then to completely cover up the fact that he had died on November 9th of that same year. Throughout the Beatles' post-Paul career, they apparently dropped numerous hints in their album artwork and in their song lyrics.
How do you... No, I don't get that. How do you fake... Because surely his family would have come out and been like, nah, because... You know, I don't know.
Alluding to the singer-songwriter's death. If you were around in the 60s, I want to know what you think about this whole thing. And if you weren't, go ask your parents their thoughts and then go ahead and drop those thoughts down below.
People have been pondering the true identity
Anyone
of Jack
that was born in the
for
60s
nearly
or alive in the
150
60s?
years. For all the suspects
Comment.
that have been mentioned over the years, though, the strangest has to be the man behind one of the strangest pieces of literature in history, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Yes, at one time, Lewis Carroll was accused of being Jack the Ripper. In 1996, author Richard Wallace came out with a
why do I
book
not know
called
about
Jack
any
the
of
Ripper,
this?
Light-Hearted Friend, where he outlined this conspiracy. Essentially, he wrote about how Lewis Carroll lived fairly close to where the killings took place, and that Carroll had apparently inserted anagrams into his work that were clues about his truly violent nature. Yep, so the book's been highly criticized. I mean, anagrams as evidence? I don't know. I feel like anyone can just rearrange letters in a piece of writing and have it spell out an ominous message. You could probably do that. Someone should do that here with my little spiel. See what you come up with.
Well, I don't believe all of them, but
they didn't do it then.
Might believe some.
There's definitely some truth to some of these, for sure. Marilyn Monroe one is a suspect. Same thing with the
Queen.
The Queen,
Yeah.
definitely.
I don't know, mate. Could the Queen being a man? What? The Lewis Carroll being Jack the Ripper thing is sick. That's really
Let us know
cool.
what your thoughts are on these conspiracies and others down below.
We'll see you soon. Cheers.
Mate, what a video. Most amazing top 10. They don't lie, mate. That was amazing. I know it was a stupidly short video and I will make it up to you tomorrow. I promise. But mate, I love a conspiracy theory. And if you guys are anything like me, then you will too. I want your thoughts. I want your feelings all in the comments. And if you did like the video, triple backflip into 360 somersault and then land onto the sofa where your phone is. Bang. And you'll hit the like button on the video. Have a nice evening. Peace.